Let's see how you do under pressure. Oh, yeah. I've been wanting this forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Okay. Hey. Yeah. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early, feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy. Extra, extra. Work with me, you know.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome in to another episode podcast to talk about our favorite team, the Arizona Cardinals. How's everybody doing out here today on this lovely Wednesday? Am I in a better mood? I am in a better mood. Yesterday, I was a little doom and gloom, but hey, you can't keep me down too long, ladies and gentlemen. You can't keep me down too long. Huge shout out to the people that are currently in the chat right now. We got Claymore, we got Junior, we got Freddie, Jake, Michael, Cards fan. Appreciate y'all for being here in the YouTube chat. Do me a huge favor, smack up the like button and subscribe to the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube. We are on the road to 16K. Can't do it without you guys, so definitely subscribe it up. It's absolutely for free. Just hit that red button and you're notified whenever we go live or whenever we post a video. But ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot to talk about today, obviously surrounding our offensive coordinator, Drew Petzing, and got a lot to dive into today, right? We ended up hearing what he had to say to the media yesterday about, his thoughts on what's going on with this offense. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're asking yourself, why aren't we talking about Cardinals versus Patriots? I get it, right? I get it. There's still a game this coming Sunday. We will get to that. I promise. We will have the behind the enemy lines. We will force ourselves to do a preview on this game as well. But right now, the Cardinals are on a crossroads, right? And if you don't believe that, I don't know what to tell you. But the Cardinals right now are on a crossroads. They can either fix their season and hopefully finish off better than 7-8 wins, or the alternative happens, right? The alternative happens. So a lot to dive into today. Right now, it almost kind of seems like the brink of either you're going to get this corrected or we're going to be talking about some very, very uncomfortable topics heading into the offseason. But ladies and gentlemen, let me just do a real quick shout out here to the sponsors of the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube, the guys that are keeping the lights on, none other than BetUS. If you're looking for a brand new sports book, BetUS is the way to go. Currently, right now, if you use promo code YouTube150, they will provide you with a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit and a 125% sign-up bonus on the following two. That's going to be using promo code YouTube150 upon signing up. Of course, bet responsibly and bet within your means. But ladies and gentlemen, let's get started here. Let's talk about what we're all here to talk about here, right? Let's listen into what Drew Petzing had to say about how he feels like this offense is currently running as of late on this 3-game skid right now. And it's not a great place to be. Let's just it's not a great place to be right now as an Arizona Cardinal fan. But is there still hope? There's still a sliver of hope, and I believe it's definitely 10% of a chance the Cardinals could still make the playoffs. But I know, I get it, right? I'm not even going to say playoffs anymore. I told you I was going to go ahead and upload that sound bite for that playoffs. I didn't get to it, right? I didn't get to it. But let me just go ahead and give myself a shame bail here real quick for even just mentioning the word, the big P word.
Shame. Shame. Shame.
No more talks. No more talks of playoffs. Let's get started here, ladies, and let's talk about what Drew Petzing had to say about currently in the state of the Arizona Cardinals. Now, there was a lot of good questions asked to Drew Petzing. Every Tuesday, all the coordinators end up talking to the media, but everybody seems to focus on Drew Petzing because obviously the Arizona Cardinals offense is supposed to be the bright spot, and right now, heading into Week 15, we still got the same questions, man. And the same questions still exist, ladies and gentlemen, and nothing's changing. Nothing's changing at all. Actually, real quick, I apologize. There is something that I haven't got to. Okay, before we get here, I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. There is something that I want to let you guys know before anything. And of course, let's see if I still have it here. I don't. Oh, man, that's a bummer. Okay, anyways, real quick, I want to keep you guys in the loop. Shout out here to, where's that screen? Where did that screenshot go? Where did it go? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Shout out to Howard Balzer. If you guys don't know, ladies and gentlemen, Blake Gillikin, our punter, ended up leaving the game in Week 14. Now, Jonathan Gannon was asked about his injuries. Of course, Jonathan Gannon, speaking in riddles, speaking very, very vague. He ended up saying he's still being evaluated. But being the fact that the Cardinals have signed a punter to the practice squad, it might seem like we might be getting a new punter. maybe this week, just keep your eyes open. Just want to let you guys know that straight up that we might be living in a world that we got a different punter this coming Sunday. Just FYI. Okay. Now that we got that due diligence out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, let's go and dive right into what Drew Petzing had to say about this offense. Now, like I said before, a lot of good questions have been asked specifically to Drew Petzing in this press conference, and one of the big ones was about rollouts, right? I think we've all talked about the idea of why haven't we seen Kyler Murray roll out a lot, right? Because I think we could all be effective if Kyler Murray has those effective rollouts, and he was asked that question, and let's see what Drew Petzing had to say.
For him especially, what are you seeing that's making him be more effective in those situations rather than a straight drop back?
I think one of the reasons you see that throughout the NFL is you're typically straight drop back in situations where everyone knows you have to be. 3rd and long, 2-minute, end of game, those type of situations. So inherently, if you know you have to do it, they know you have to do it, you're not going to be as good at it. Whereas those play actions, the under center stuff, some of that variation in the scheme is coming in normal D&Ds when there is that uncertainty about where's the ball going, are you handing it off, what are you doing? And I think that makes you more dynamic as an offense. It's why it's so important to execute early in a game and to keep the game close and to try to get a lead, because then you keep that balance throughout the game rather than getting into a situation where you do have to drop back maybe more than you want to.
Okay, a lot to dive into in that specific clip, right? Now, another question was, and I don't have the clip of this, but another question was, why don't the Arizona Cardinals do this roll? Because we're effective, right? When we do rollouts, for the most part, is effective, right? And if you don't know that is, basically it's that play action fake where Kyler Murray rolls out of the pocket and hopefully you have some tight ends or a wide receiver taking a big route. For the most part, those are effective. But what Drew Petzing is saying here, or actually, let me jump on the follow-up question that happened a little later on in this media session. They were asking, how come we don't do this like 75, 80% of the time, right? Biggest reason as to why is that you need to be able to execute what is most the offensive playbook, right? We don't have rollout, because if you do rollout, like that's specifically designed to be a trick play. If you guys don't know that, play action is supposed to be a trick play. It's supposed to be one of those things that when your offensive running back is getting every single thing, every single yard, the play action is supposed to be used as a fake. Oh, he's going to run it. No, he's not. I'm bringing it back. There's Marvin Harrison Jr. up deep, or there's Trey McBride up deep, right? They're supposed to be used as trick plays. You're not going to be doing that every single play, right? Now, is there an instance where you sit back and ask yourself, why haven't we seen a lot of rollouts? Yes, 100%. I'm right there with you. Why we're not seeing it? Of course, that's a big concern. That's a big question mark as well that I have as well. And of course, that does fall on Drew Petzing about not implementing it, right? Now, the Cardinals offense have been one of those offenses that have been beating themselves up a lot. And I mean a lot. When it comes down to penalties, we've not looked great when it comes down to penalties. We've always been hurting ourselves. And let's call it like it is. I think one of the bigger questions that I hope somebody asks is, why do I, right? And I hope the media person, take credit for this if you want. But why do I not feel confident in this Arizona Cardinal offense if they do get behind the chains? Let's say, for example, a 1st and 19, a 1st and 20, something that, prevents us from having the traditional 1st and 10. Why don't I feel confident that this offense can actually execute converting that 1st down, right? That should be a question. Is there something in the playbook that can help negate the fact that the Cardinals just beat themselves with one penalty, whether it's going to be a, illegal man downfield, whether it's going to be a holding call? Why can't this offense function in that way? Media, if you're ask that question, please, because it almost kind of seems like the playbook is designated to dink and dunk, dink and dunk, dink and dunk. And if you're sitting at a 1st and 19 or a 1st and 20, I almost promise you two things. There is going to be a run somewhere down the road, whether it's going to be the 1st down or 2nd down. There's going to be a dump off, especially if it's a long 3rd and long. There's going to be a dump off, and there's probably going to be an incomplete, or heck, maybe even a sack to make things worse. Now, that should be a big question, right? Why isn't this offense converting these 3rd downs? We're already being, under the, we're already behind the 8 ball when it comes down to converting 3rd downs. We're not good. 3rd down efficiency every single game, or it feels like every single game, is very, very bad. So to be behind the chains, in order for you to continue to drive and get your offense into the rhythm that you need to get into, you need to convert those 3rd downs, right? And for the most part, when the Cardinals beat themselves up, I don't have the confidence, especially if it's a 1st and 19 or 1st and 20, that the Cardinals are going to be able to convert that. Because like I said, there's going to be a run, there's going to be a dump off, and heck, you can throw a wild card in there for the first down or the second down. There's just never any efficiency to convert that first down for the Arizona Cardinals. It's unfortunate, but that definitely needs to be something that needs to be fixed. Now, going back to that whole situation that I was talking about, rollouts, right? Rollouts are designed to be a trick play. Like, you're not going to always tell, like, oh, we're going to do this, 50% of the time. Then the defense knows that. Then the defense is not going to fall for the run play because they're going to follow Kyler Murray every sense of the imagination. So if you think you're going to have somebody out wide, that's the reason why, right? So Drew Petzing answered this, I think, very, very well. Those are designed to be thrown in the mix, but in order for us to have that work, you need the run play to work and you need the dropbacks to work, right? You need to be able to drop back, deliver the ball either past the sticks or I guess dink and dunk it, because that's exactly what the Arizona Cardinals do week in and week out. So the rollouts, very good question. Hope it's on top of his mind because I agree that we're not seeing it very, very often, but I do understand the reasoning as to why we're not seeing it often is because this offense really isn't functioning in the level that we're hoping it should have, right? We're done with week 14 and it's still clunky as heck. So that was a good question, but he did respond to it very, very well. There was a question here asked about about Kyler Murray's interceptions. Now, very funny the way he actually responds to this, but let's give him the benefit of the doubt to hear exactly how he sees those interceptions after he looked at the tape. This is what Drew Petzing had to say.
What did you see all those 2 picks?
I saw the other team catch it, unfortunately, and I don't mean that sarcastically, but I think it's always easy for me to look at the picture, pause the tape, and be like, hey, we don't want to do that, we can't do that. At the same time, I think when you watch it at full speed and you understand where his eyes are and what he's looking at, those things happen. I think every quarterback goes through that. I think the important part is to learn from it and say, all right, here's why you made the decision. Here's why we need to have a different response next time. And here's how we can get you there based on what you're seeing, what you're thinking, and what we're asking you to do. I think that's probably the most important part of it.
So the other team caught it. The other team caught it, ladies and gentlemen. The other team caught it. Yeah, obviously, that's a very good observation there, Mr. Drew Petzing. But honestly, I think at the end of the side and the other side of it all, his explanation as to why this happened. Let's listen to it back here, right? In terms of
What did you see all those 2 picks?
I saw the other team catch it, unfortunately, and I don't mean that sarcastically, but I think it's always easy for me to look at the picture, pause the tape, and be like, hey, we don't want to do that, we can't do that. At the same time, I think when you watch it at full speed and you understand where his eyes are and what he's looking at, those things happen. I think every quarterback goes through that. I think the important part is to learn from it and say, all right, here's why you made the decision. Here's why we need to have a different response next time. And here's how we can get you there based on what you're seeing, what you're thinking, and what we're asking you to do. I think that's probably the most important part of it.
So one of the big reasons as to why this interceptions are a big talking point, right? And if you're asking yourself, man, we're just beating a dead horse. We're talking about the same things over and over and over and over again. Well, I mean, they're big reasons as to probably why the Arizona Cardinals lost versus the Seattle Seahawks were those interceptions, right? So please bear with me as to, why we're trying to understand, or at least the people that are in this leadership trying to get an understanding as to why they're seeing these flaws happening with this offense, and we're in week 14, right? So these interceptions are a big deal. Now, I talked about this, I believe it was last week when we were talking about Drew Petzing and his coaching staff and the way that they coach, right? I've been very fortunate to be in a supervisor role when I was in the corporate role, in the corporate world, right, and management. So I know that there's many different ways to be a leader, right? I know there's many different. Everybody's got their own tactics. Everybody's got their own ways of being able to communicate to different personalities. Because let's call it like it is, ladies and gentlemen. Do you think if you knew me in real life, you probably would like my personality? Some people won't, right? Some people won't. People are like, I can't stand that guy. I can't, that guy's annoying, right? Of course. So when you're in that leadership role, right, whether you're a coach, whether you're a manager, whether you're a supervisor or anything, you have to have an equal ground to be able to communicate to different types of personalities, right? You're going to have to find a way. Now, the coaching style of Drew Petzing, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at the way that he coaches because at the end of the day, he's here for a reason. He is a very smart football mind. But at the end of the day, the way that things are working right now, it doesn't seem like it's really working, because how he said it was, it would be very easy for me to pause the tape and say, hey, you don't do this anymore. Don't do this, right? But that's kind of what you have to do as a coach, and especially if you have some big critical moments like that, because we're not talking about, oh, it was just a 3rd and 1 that happened in an off moment, right? No, no, we're talking about a big, crucial, swinging potential, that changed the course of this game, right? That's what we're talking about. So I would love a little bit more, I don't know, more intensity. I'm not coming out here saying yell at Kyler Murray or yell at this offense saying, you effed up, you effed up. No, I'm not saying that. But I'm also saying on the other side of the coin, don't seem so loosey-goosey with the answer, right? Because there is a lot to learn from the mistakes. Kyler Murray said that he saw Ernest Jones there in his press conference. Okay, well, my next question, if I was in that role, okay, then why did you decide to throw that ball if you saw Ernest Jones there? Now, I want to be very clear. Ernest Jones did one of the most, the things that you see in Madden, right? When you're playing an online player in Madden and you think they're going this way and then they switch it up real quick. I've said this the moment I saw this play, I was like, dang, Ernest Jones made a freaking play on Kyler Murray. He baited him into throwing the ball over to Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, when you're watching back the play, regardless if he's this way or not, he was trending to go to this opposite way, and then he turned his body to go this way and obviously make that interception. I get it's easier said than done when you're looking at the film and you're not getting big bodies thrown your way, but that was not a ball to throw in that very instance, because I don't even think Marvin Harrison Jr. was open at that moment when he threw the ball over to Marvin. It just wasn't a good choice. It wasn't a good decision. Now, that second interception, I've always said this, Kyler Murray made the right read. When he threw it over to Marvin Harrison Jr., that was the right read, but not the good throw. The throw wasn't good. The read was amazing. If you did it a split second faster, in a quicker throw, I think that would have been the best read you potentially could have done all game long, right? But the throw wasn't good. The throw wasn't good at the end of the day. So the way Drew Petzing comes about this, I think this is the way that this whole coaching staff runs that way, right? I don't like the loosey-goosiness that comes along with their coaching styles. But like I said, I mean, if it works, it works. But clearly it's not working, right? Clearly it's not working. I think something needs to change. Something needs to be fixed. I'm not saying yell at the guys when they make a mistake, but I don't know. I think we need to be a little bit more stern to the idea that you can do this. This is a no-go. This is because what's going to come out of, what did you learn from this? What did you learn? What did you learn? That Ernest Jones is a beast? Okay, well, okay. Don't throw it there. No, that's a mistake. That was a mistake. That was a mistake. Let's not see that again, ever. Don't make that mistake again. So it's all coaching styles. It's all how you talk to people at the end of the day. Petzing's got his own style. I'm not a big fan of it, especially because it's not really working, right? Because we're still having the same issues. Week 1 to week 14, still the same issues. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. So that's one of the main reasons why I'm like, I'm not a big fan, right? I'm not a big fan. Now, let's talk about this next clip here where Drew Petzing was Drew Petzing was asked about the mental side of it all, right? Drew Petzing was asked about the mental side of it all because obviously mistakes were made on the defensive side of the ball. Mistakes were made on the offensive side of the ball. But this is what Drew Petzing had to say about how he handled it as a coach. And does he actually go to his players and say, hey, it's okay, sport. It's okay, champ. You know what I mean? You'll get them next time. Wash it, right? And this is what Drew Petzing had to say about that.
Negative might have happened. Is that part of it?
Absolutely. A huge part of it. And I think the nice part with a guy like him is I don't worry too much about that. Like, it's not something I'm like, he throws one or he throws two, and I'm like, well, we can't throw the ball the rest of the game. He's a mental wreck. Like, that's not the type of player he is not the type of competitor he is. But there's certainly that check-in and a reminder almost to say, hey, dude, flush it. Like, move on. We got to get back in this game. We're going to need you to play at a high level to do that. Like, don't worry about it. And I think he's been great about that. But that conversation absolutely happens, as it happens with anybody who struggles during a game for any reason. We got to have that awareness to say, hey, man, move on. You're good. We're good. It's on all of us. Let's go play the next play.
Good way to put it, right? Good way, especially in game. You need to be able, as a leader, as a coach, to go over to your quarterback or defensive lineman or cornerback, your defensive backs, right? Especially if there was a pick. I'm not saying there was a pick in their hand, but if they dropped one, you should be able to do that, right? Now, obviously, if it's a defensive player, that's Nick Rallis's job, but if it's the offensive guys, that's Drew Petzing's job, right? So I love the idea that he does, in fact, do that, tell him to wash it, but I don't know if you guys feel the same way, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know here in the chat below. But I hate talking about body language. I hate talking about it, but we're still kind of seeing the same body language from Kyler when mistakes are being made. Now, when plays are still being made too. I mean, I guess he still has the same body language, so I guess it's not really too big of a deal. But I guess one big takeaway is I like that Drew Petzing goes into his players and says, good sport, right? Good job, champ. Don't worry about this. Clean it up and play over to the next play. I think that's a good thing because at the end of the day, sometimes, you know, these players need the reminder, right? You would think that multi-millionaire professional athletes were going to be able to wash these things away, right? But at the end of the day, they're human. They're human just like me and you, right? So if you make a mistake, if I make a mistake, some things linger in your head. Dang, I shouldn't do that, right? Dang, I shouldn't have left my stove on when I went to Home Depot, right? Dang, I shouldn't have left my wallet right there in the showing right there, and everybody, somebody punched my window out. Dang, I shouldn't have, right? We all have mistakes, right? And you're going to linger on that, right? So that's the mental part of being a professional athlete. You have to be able to wash it. Now, I'm not going to come out here and say Kyler Murray didn't wash it because, as you can tell from Drew Petzing as well as Jonathan Gannon, they said in the second half, he brought the Cardinals back into a respectable, I guess back, right? As back as you could potentially be, right? He brought him back. So it's not like one of those things where Drew Petzing has in his mind, oh, he threw 2 picks, I'm not going to allow him to throw the ball. Well, of course, right? He's the quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals. You got to throw the ball in order for this offense to function. So big takeaway from that. I'm glad. Cool, right? That's awesome that you do that. But I don't know, man. I almost kind of feel like I hear Kyler Murray saying that he's able to wash it, but I don't know. I feel like it kind of lingers. That's just a personal opinion on me. Now, does that affect the next drive? Of course, when you're thinking about potentially throwing another interception, you're probably going to throw another interception. And deja vu, that's exactly what happened. Back-to-back picks is a no-go here in the NFL. And, of course, that's one of the big talking points as to why we're talking what we're talking now, right? Because it's offense and their inability to be able to correct the wrongs, right? The wrongs that have been wrong since the beginning of the season has continued to be wrong. They were supposed to be the bright spot. This whole offense was supposed to be. And we're seeing a regression in this offense, especially in this 3-game stretch for the Cardinals. And, of course, for that Vikings, of course, we scored a lot of points, but we were not able to score touchdowns, right? So that was the Vikings situation. So a lot to unfold there in the whole mental side of it all, but there's that. Now, this next clip, I want to go ahead and bring to your guys' attention because everybody has noticed that Kyler Murray has had more pressure on Kyler Murray, right, as of late. Now, the way that Drew Petzing ends up answering this, if you're not watching it, you probably don't catch it. Now, I might be looking too much into it. I'm a guy that likes to look at body language. I'm a guy that likes to look at people's eyes whenever they're asking a question. Not so much to tell how they're lying or if they're lying, but like to seeing if they're a little squirmy, right? Because if they're a little squirmy, you're not really telling the full truth, but I don't know. I guess I'll just leave it at that. But the question was asked to Drew Petzing about why Kyler Murray has not been very, very good under pressure in these last few games. And this is what Drew Petzing had to say. All right. Now that didn't work. Let's go ahead and bring it right back here. All right. Here's the pressure.
The reason for that, do you think?
I mean, again, we'd have to probably go through it specifically play by play to really know. I think, those pressure reps are high variance reps. When you hit big plays. There's a lot of explosives out there on tape. Obviously, they're generally a lot of times they're bringing extra people to create that type.
Real quick. Anybody catch that? I said this the last time. I believe it was last Wednesday that we talked about that. There's subtle little jabs. There's subtle little jabs. If you're not listening, you won't hear it. There's subtle little jabs whenever Drew Petzing speaks. Listen. Like I said, if you're not really paying too much attention, you don't hear it. But let me play it back again about the pressure on Kyler Murray. Let's listen in.
The reason for that, do you think?
I mean, again, we'd have to probably go through it specifically play by play to really know. I think, those pressure reps are high variance reps. When you hit big plays. There's a lot of explosives out there on tape. Obviously, they're generally a lot of times they're bringing extra people to create that type of pressure. So you have those opportunities, but it also means you might not have your feet perfectly set to make the throw. You might be throwing with a little more anticipation than you necessarily want to. I think probably that's some of it is, hey, when you hit it, you're looking really good because the variance is really high. But when you don't, you're going to hit the average over time. But I don't think it's anything necessarily systematic that he's doing or we're doing that is responsible for that difference, if that makes sense.
Subtle little jabs. Subtle little jabs. If you don't hear it, if you're not paying attention, you're not going to hear it. He said that, yes, in the time when you're pressured, right? Because being pressured means that you have more than the usual 4 coming at you at your quarterback, right? So what that means is if you have 5, you have 6 people coming your way, or heck, if you throw the house at a quarterback, that means that when you got weapons out there, they are most likely on one-on-ones, or heck, maybe somebody might be available that is not covered, right? Specifically, if there's a guy doing a quick slant route, if there's a guy doing an outright, there is plays to be made during a specific rushing attempt. Now, here's the big question. Who's the guy that has the ball in his hand every single play, right? The very one guy that has the ball in his play every single play, Mr. Quarterback, Mr. Kyler Murray, right? So, Drew Petzing has just said that there is explosives to be made, but of course, when pressure comes along, it throws everybody off, right? It throws the offensive line off because you're kind of in a panic mode. Oh God, who do I got? Who does this guy got? What's happening? Oh my God, there's another guy coming over here. There's a guy coming from God knows where. What do we do, right? There's a sense of panic to try to keep your quarterback upright, right? So the question now remains, then who does this fall on? Is Kyler Murray just not good under pressure, right? Because if there's plays to be made out on the field when there is 5, 6, 7, 8 guys coming at you, then you got to look at the opposing side and say, okay, well, maybe you're just not darn good with pressure coming your way, right? Because I remember very specifically that there was a play that they brought the house on us, and I could have sworn I saw somebody open, right? But of course, we like to say to ourselves, oh, well, they brought the house, right? Well, I mean, that's what these elite quarterbacks thrive on. There's elite quarterbacks out there that knows that their house or 5 or 6 people are coming their way, and they know how to beat that, right? They audible at the line, or hopefully they have a specific play to say, okay, I know how to beat this, right? They're coming over here. We could throw a quick out route. We could throw a quick slant route. Now, I'm not going to come out here and say Kyler Murray never knows how to beat the pressure. That's not the case. There was a specific play, I believe it was in the Vikings game, where they brought the house and we had Trey McBride, I believe, was doing an out route, and boom, it was just mad simple. It was simple, right? But it's being able to design, to be able to know when it's coming, because when you know it's coming, then you can be able to plan for it, right? But I do feel like the Cardinals offense in general is very predicated on, oh, this is what we have right now on the field, and if we don't got it, then we don't got it, right? We'll take the sack, we'll take the incompletion, but, we're not going to try to audible at the line to try to beat that. It almost is like, okay, but white flag, here we go. White flag, I'll throw myself down. You got me. You got me, buddy. You got me, right? So like I said before, subtle jabs, right? There's little things that are being said that if you don't listen, or if you're not listening, then you're not going to catch it, right? Then you're not going to catch it. So this brings me to my next point. Who's the big problem here, right? What's going on, right? Because honestly, I think we can all agree that the offense right now is completely underperforming, right? The offense right now is completely underperforming. Now, this is not coming from the mouth of Mike, right? I'm not coming out here and saying Drew Petzing said this, blah, blah, blah. Or I guess technically I am, right? So throw that squeaky voice in there if you want. But Drew Petzing, we're listening to the clips and what he had to say. Listen, it's there, right? These are people that are supposed to be in a leadership role that look at film for a living, right? And they told us right there is explosives to be made. There's explosives there that, hey, that could be made, but they're not being made, right? What? But subtle jabs, subtle jabs, pop, 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 subtle jabs, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't hear it, you're not listening. You're not listening. Let me get to my guy, Junior. What's up, Junior, with the super chat coming our way? He said, what's up, Mike? I agree this offense hasn't provided consistency. Everyone is at fault, whether as a Cards fan, we like it or not. It's a team game. 110%. In order for your offense to be functional, right? In order for your offense to be great, or hell, even good, or heck, even consistent, everybody needs to play a role. 110%. Everybody needs to play a role. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. The offensive line, yeah, it's looked pretty rough, right? Now, here's going to be a big question. Is that because Seattle Seahawks just hit another gear and they're just that damn good against our offensive line? Now, we did make a switch. We got Jonah Williams in there instead of Kelvin Beachum. Did that break this offensive gel? Maybe, right? Maybe. But for the most part this year, the offense has been doing a good job holding up, right? The biggest baddest game that Kyler Murray has ever experienced was that very first game versus the Seattle Seahawks where they had like 5 or 6 sacks on him, right? So that was the worst game that Kyler Murray under pressure or got sacks on him throughout the whole season. That was the worst game, that first Seattle Seahawks game. For the most part, the second time we met Seattle, I mean, they were still coming at him, right? They were still coming at him, but there was plays to be made. There was plays to be made. If you don't believe me, watch the tape. Watch it. Watch it. Too many times have I seen people say, oh, well, this is what I heard. This is what I see, because they're just stat watching. That's all they're always looking at the stats, right? One of the biggest examples out there is Marvin Harrison Jr. versus the Vikings game. People made such a big deal about being targeted 12 times and only getting 5 receptions. So people threw the flag up there saying, Marvin Harrison Jr. is a bust, Mike. No. Look at the throws that are being made to Marvin Harrison Jr. Without looking at the film and without even breaking down the film, I already knew that 3 or 4 of those 7 catches that Marvin didn't do were not Marvin Harrison Jr.'s fault. So look at the film, actually looking to see if that wasn't the actual right read to go, because let's call it like it is, right? In that 3rd and 2, when Kyler Murray decided to chuck the ball instead of converting the first down and Chad Ryland missed a field goal in this last game, was that the right decision to chuck the ball over to Marvin Harrison Jr.? Yes, he was on man. He wanted to give his guy an opportunity. In hindsight, if Marvin caught it, it would have been a different situation. It would have been a different talking point, right? Of course. But we've said this from year 1 of this podcast to now. When it works, you're a genius. When it doesn't work, people start questioning, right? So that's what kind of brings me back to the same situation of, I don't know, maybe just, throw a little pressure Kyler Murray's way, get him to be a little jittery and he makes mistakes? Is that what we have to deal with? Because I'm not going to lie to you, ladies and gentlemen, the Patriots are actually a better team than you might think. The Patriots defensively are a better team than you might think. So I'm worried. I'm worried about the Patriots. On paper, you see a 3-win team and you're like, oh, we got this. These are winnable games. The Patriots defensively are a much better team than you might think. They got great concepts. They can throw, a blitz just like Nick Rallis does, right, in a disguisable way. They can really wreck a game. So, being the fact that our offensive line hasn't been playing up to par, am I a little worried? Yeah, I'm a little worried. I'm a little shook. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a little shook with the idea that, oh, man, here we go. Let's see if our offensive line can hold up. Let's see if we can beat the blitz. Let's see if we can do something to, beat what's coming at us. Because, guys, if you don't know, there's something to beat anything that a defense comes your way. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. There's something that beats anything in the NFL. There's something. Cover 3, cover 2, anything, blitz. There's something to beat something. You just got to need to know how to beat that, right? As a quarterback, as an offense, as an offensive coordinator, you're going to need to know how to beat that. And we're not showing the consistencies into being able to beat it, unfortunately. So, can this offense get better? Yes, they can. I mean, yeah, they can. I mean, they got all the tools. They got all these successions to succeed. It's just they're not doing it. They're not doing it. Why? That's the big question out there, right? Now, let's talk about this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure if you guys agree with me in this whole situation. Trey McBride, there's no reason why Trey McBride wasn't involved in the first half. I apologize. There's no reason why Trey McBride shouldn't have been involved in the first half. Come on now. Now, Trey McBride still did finish off with a very, very respectable game versus the Seattle Seahawks in the second time around. So definitely not denying the fact that Trey McBride was a big focal point in the second half. He finished off the game with 7 receptions, 70 yards. So he was a big focal point. He was a big focal point for the Arizona Cardinals offense in the second half. But why aren't you getting the ball to your best weapon in the first half consistently? It's crazy to me. It's still mind-boggling. Now, the reason why we're talking about that is that Drew Petzing was asked, was the Seattle Seahawks doing something specific? Was the Seattle Seahawks doing something specific to take Trey away in the first half of this game? That's what he was asked. On the film, Drew, you're the offensive coordinator. You saw all the offensive plays. Was the Seattle Seahawks defense doing something different in the first half that was taking arguably our best weapon out of the mix? And this is what Drew Petzing had to say.
Not doing anything that kind of took Trey out of the game in the first half.
No, I don't think so. I didn't feel that way throughout the game. I think it's funny. Like I didn't even until someone said it, it didn't really occur to me. The ball was kind of going different places based on the look, the read, the call. He's certainly always kind of, as we talked about, involved in those first 2 or 3 reads, and ball was going different places. And then as the game went, we kind of kept into a different rhythm, and the ball obviously went to him a lot in the second half. But I don't think it was anything they were doing or anything, that just kind of how the game came up.
It's how the game came up. Now, I'm not sure if it's just me as a fan, obviously never being in a position as an offensive coordinator or heck, even a quarterback, but wouldn't it be rocket science to try to get the ball over to Trey McBride, especially if he is your best weapon, right? The most comfortability safety blanket that you might have. Like, let's say, for example, you allow the first quarter to go through and then you notice, right? What I don't like is the fact that he just said that, like, he didn't even notice Trey McBride wasn't involved until they pointed it out. Now, light bulb came up, sometime during the halftime. They're like, hey, you got to give the guy the damn ball, right? But during the game, the mid adjustments during the game or during action, why wasn't the adjustment made then? Why not then, right? Because let's listen back, right?
Not doing anything that kind of took Trey out of the game in the first half.
They weren't.
No, I don't think so. I didn't feel that way throughout the game. I think it's funny. Like I didn't even until someone said it, it didn't really occur to me. The ball was kind of going different places based on the look, the read, the call. He's certainly always kind of, as we talked about, involved in those first 2 or 3 reads, and ball was going different places. And then as the game went, we kind of kept into a different rhythm, and the ball obviously went to him a lot in the second half. But I don't think it was anything they were doing or anything, that just kind of how the game came up.
So it's just deciding on where the ball goes. Where does the ball go? Who decides on where the ball goes? Trick question. Who decides where the ball goes? Drew? Oh no, the quarterback, right? Oh my God, the quarterback. Oh wow, that's who decides where the ball goes. Okay, so do we all remember that clip, right? Remember that clip that happened in week 1 where there was this big controversy with Marvin Harrison Jr. being open in that screenshot, and they were like, how come the quarterback didn't see Marvin Harrison Jr.? He was wide open in the Bills game. And of course, Kyler Murray's like, it's not my job to get the ball to to such and such, right? Remember that whole clip that was going around? And of course, Kyler Murray came up and, he addressed the fact that he didn't mean it that way. He just was saying that, like, it's the offense that's designed to move the ball to where the ball needs to go, right? Like that's how they ended up covering it up, right? It's like cat litter, right? When you have a big you're just covering it up, right? It's just okay, this is how we're gonna cover it up, right? I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. Of course, I'm a quarterback, right? And he was like, I'm sensitive to who's not getting the ball, but like this is your best player on the field, right? Are we struggling with Marvin Harrison Jr.? Yes, there is a struggle with Marvin Harrison Jr. The consensus out there, right there amongst a portion of Cardinal fans is that this guy is not a contested catcher. He's not the 50-50 ball guy that we all thought he was going to be, right? He's not fast in his routes, and he drops multiple balls, right? That's what the consensus is out there for Marvin. Okay, well, if that's the way this Cardinals organization feels too, or maybe they don't, I think we can all agree that this is your number 1 player, right? On the offensive side of the ball, it's Trey McBride. He's your number 1 pass catcher. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that back, because some people could say James Conner, right? In terms of the running back. Your number 1 pass catcher right now in terms of Kyler's comfortability when he throws the ball to him. For the most part, he's going to come down with the ball, is Trey McBride. So get the dang ball over to your best player. To me, that response with the ball's going to go where the ball goes, that's such a vague answer that I don't like. I don't like it. I think it's a very, very poor response as to why the ball's not going into your number 1 option's hands, right? I don't like it. I don't think it's a good response. Now, for multiple reasons, right? Now, here's the thing. If it was working and this offense was not having these issues that we're still having right now, like, we're still struggling. Like, our offense is still clunky. There's nothing more to say about that, but this offense is still clunky. There's no good that's coming out of this offense right now other than, heck, we got lucky, right? We got lucky. Now, can they fix that versus the Patriots? They very well can, right? But right now, with where we're standing with this Arizona Cardinals offense, it ain't looking good. It ain't looking good. It's not what we were thought. That is not what we thought it was going to be, right? The magical connection between Marvin and Kyler ain't there. And it's probably not going to be there this year. It's probably not. Like, come to a realization, ladies and gents, probably not going to be there. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I probably will never understand it, but it's not there, right? Michael Wilson has done some really, really good things when given the opportunity. Great ball catch on that in that Vikings game. And then obviously the touchdown catch in the Seattle game, right? But it's just the offense. MIA, man. MIA, MIA. What happens? What happens? What's going on? Well, the ball should be going where the ball should be going. Well, where the heck is that? Where? Dinking and dunking? That's where we need to go? Because that's where the ball goes for the most part, right? It's going in a 2-yard gain, and hopefully that our offensive players make some sort of sprint away, right? Some sort of sprint away. So this answer, I would like a lot more because they've been saying the same thing the whole time. Like, this is a quote that's been said all dang year long. The ball should be going where the ball should be going. They've been saying this all freaking year long. I would accept this answer that Drew Petzing's saying if it was fixed. But guess what? It's not fixed. Guess what? It's not fixed. It's the same things over and over. It's deja vu. It's Groundhog Day. What are we doing that's not getting the job done offensively? That's the big question, right? And a question that should be asked, here you go. If anybody wants to take this question, why aren't we confident? Why is this Arizona Cardinals fan base, organization not confident to convert a 1st and 20? We're all talking about penalties. Like, penalties are killing the Cardinals. But then why aren't we calling plays that are designed to get chunks back? Why are we settling for a run, a dump play, and potentially a incompletion? Why? Are we not confident? Is this playbook not designed for your 1st and 20? Let's get this conversion. Let's get 15 yards right here and then work on getting those next 5 yards. No, for the most part, the Cardinals, if you're behind the sticks, you're going to punt that ball away. 9 out of 10 times, you're going to punt that ball away. I'm not confident. I'm not confident when the Cardinals get a holding call that we're going to convert that. Can we get lucky with a Amari DeMarcado run? Yeah, we can get lucky. Trey Benson run. Can we get lucky? Yeah, we can get lucky. But 9 out of 10 times, if you got a penalty as beating yourself, like, why don't we have plays to try to bring that back? Are we scared about throwing interceptions? Are we scared about, the opening too much of this playbook? This is week 14. And we don't have a real solution for that. So, anybody want to ask the question? There you go. Give that question away. Find out from Drew Petzing why the heck that nobody's got confidence. This offense doesn't have confidence in converting that because we always beat ourselves. That's always the excuse. Oh, we put ourselves behind the chains. Okay, well, why don't we have an answer when we put ourselves behind the chains, right? Why don't we got those big chunk plays? Because we like dink and dunk so much that the defense knows? Are we scared to throw an interception? Is this offense not predicated to have a 20-yard, consistent gain, right? Is that what it is? I don't know. That's what it kind of feels like. We're so predictable. That's what I'm coming at. It's so predictable. It's predictable. I would be okay with this response. The ball should be going where it should be going if and only if this offense was fixed. And guess what? It's not fixed. So Drew Petzing, you got some splaining to do. People want to fire you. People are saying, come at this guy. When Drew Petzing talks on YouTube, most of the comments on there saying, fire this guy. Come and save your job if you really want to come out here and try to give us the real answer as to why you think is actually going on. Now, like I said, subtle jabs. If you're not listening, then if you're not hearing it, then you're not listening. Subtle jabs. There's plays to be made on the field. There is. Sorry. If I need to be the bad guy, I'll be the bad guy. Just like Al Pacino said, right? Say goodnight to the bad guy. Here we go. I'll be the bad guy. There's plays to be made. Said it. Kurt Warner, one of the best quarterbacks of the Arizona Cardinals, said the same thing. Now, I only saw one breakdown, so hopefully he continues to break down more so people open their eyes, but there's plays to be made. There's plays to be made on this offense. This offense is still running clunkiness. It's not great. Whenever we do get those 20-yard gains, 15-yard gains, it feels lucky. It feels like, damn, we got lucky on that one. Ooh, that should have been an interception. Man, what a good catch here by Trey McBride. Am I wrong? Why can't this offense consistently get those 20-yard gains? Why? I mean, you break down the film, right? Drew Petzing, that's what you're doing, right? You break down the film. Why not? What's going on? What's happening? Crickets. Crickets! Crickets, ladies and gentlemen. And it's always going to continue to be crickets because this culture is not based on throwing people under the bus. We want to make sure everything stays in-house. We want to make sure everything's buttoned up tight. We're not going to throw anybody under the bus, ladies and gentlemen. It's crazy. But I mean, you got to give credit because they're doing that with everybody, right? They're doing that with everybody. Because I remember the media ended up asking with Marvin Harrison Jr. They ended up trying to say, do you think he needs to learn more? Do you think there's something that Marvin Harrison Jr. needs to learn? Now, I don't have the clip of it, but JG was like, yeah, I mean, every week, even if you're a 5-6 year veteran, you're going to keep learning, right? If you stop learning, your growth is stunted. And that's with everything. That's like being a wide receiver. That's being a coach. That's being a quarterback. If your learning stops, then you stop and you cease to grow from what you can potentially be and be better and better. So, right? A lot of the narratives out there. Marvin Harrison Jr. is at fault. Marvin. It's so Marvin, guys. It's so... No. Chill. Chill. I'll die on that hill. I'll die on that hill. It's not Marvin's fault. Now, there was a tweet. Yep. Tweet that came out here that I wanted to bring the attention to some of the Arizona Cardinal fans out here. Now, of course, it comes from Dov Kleiman, so take it as you will. But he does actually quote his source, PFF Gordon, which obviously if you're working with PFF, you definitely have some sort of information to back you up. So with that being said, I'm not going to come out here and say, no, you can't be right. Now, I did actually see the original tweet. Now, I probably should have actually brought that up instead, but here we go, right? Dov Kleiman comes out here with this tweet / post saying wild, right? He always has something that is always like bashful, right? Important, right? Shameless, inspirational. But this one right here specifically, wild, right? Wild. Arizona Cardinals wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. hasn't dropped a ball since week 1. You read that correctly, right? So, of course, it opened up the intrigue in a lot of people's thoughts and what their perception is of Marvin Harrison Jr., your 4th overall pick. Now, I'm going to come out here and say, right, am I a big supporter of Marvin Harrison Jr.? Of course, right? But if you don't watch my content, if you don't listen to actually what I'm saying, I'm saying what you're saying, right? I'm saying what you're saying. I'm saying, yeah, there is a couple things that are concerning, right? The 50-50 ball, I would love for him to be a little bit more aggressive. Does he look a little slow on his routes? Yes, of course. Yeah, I've said this over and over and over again. But the reason why I'm coming to his aid and saying, chill out, peeps, chill out. Because Marvin Harrison Jr. is a 22-year-old first-year wide receiver. Let's not act like he doesn't have 7 touchdowns on the season. Let's not act like he doesn't have 600 yards on the season on an offense that doesn't throw the ball and that his identity is run the ball first, right? So let's not sit here and act like this guy hasn't accomplished what a 4th overall pick potentially could be, right? Now, is he not the best wide receiver, right? Where we sold fool's gold. I mean, if you were expecting Randy Moss, if you were expecting Anquan Bolden numbers, I guess you can use that as your interpretation. But regardless, Marvin probably might finish off the season with 700, 800 yards and probably 6, maybe 8, 9, 10 touchdowns. Maybe, right? As long as the ball gets thrown to him in a specific manner where he's open, he can come down with the ball, right? So, of course, when I posted this, I said this, right? Of course, when it comes down to X, man, it's one of those things where you got your portion of Cardinal fans that are very, very, what's the word? Pro Kyler. Let's just leave it at that. Pro Kyler, and then you got the other portion of the fans who are like, oh no, man, I knew this was a thing, right? So of course, I retweeted this, or reposted it, whatever you want to call it these days, and I said this: it's not Marv's fault. # Team Marv. Well, the biggest reason why I'm Team Marv right now is because this man is under his year 1. Year 1. That's why. Miscommunication? I'm not blaming that on a wide receiver 1. Not me. You're telling me we could have all the patience in the world for people that are on this roster for more than 5-6 years? But we can't have the patience for a guy that's coming in here year one that's trying to translate to collegiate level to the NFL level. Like, come on, let's not do double standards now. Come on now. Come on. First year. Boy, he's not having Rodney Moss. He's not having Anquan Bolden numbers, Mike. Come on. Be better than that. Come on. This guy still has 7 touchdowns. It's not like he's got 2 touchdowns. Right? He's not like he's got 2 touchdowns and 200 yards. Then you panic. Okay, I'll panic with you. 2 touchdowns, 300 yards, I'll panic with you. Cool. Let's panic together. Let's pick a corner and let's panic. 7 touchdowns. Is he still leading the rookies in touchdowns? Wide receivers? Obviously. Bowers is crazy. It's a freak. But isn't he still leading the wide receivers in touchdowns? So don't come at me with saying, oh, man. Oh, he's to blame too, man.
Okay.
That's all I gotta say.
No, 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 no.
It's Marvin Harrison Jr.'s fault, right? Yeah, come on now. Come on. Now, there's a website that I'm going to actually find a specific website so you guys can look at yourself. I'm not making things up, right? So let me find this website real quick. The website is Fantasy Pros. Fantasy Pros. Now, on this website, it shows catchable balls to drops for players, right? Marvin Harrison Jr. right now, and nobody wants to believe it, has 4 drops on the season. Nobody wants to believe it. 4 drops in the season. And guess what drops mean? Drops mean that ball was in your hand or it was a catchable ball and you fluffed it. And you were like, oh, man, you absolutely messed that one up, right? Like we see Malik Neighbors do a couple times, right? Balls in your hand, you drop it. We've seen CeeDee Lamb do a couple of those, especially I think 2 weeks ago when he was in prime time. Balls in his hand, drops it out of his hand, right? It happens. You're a wide receiver. It happens. He still, per this website, still has 4 drops on the season. And the big thing out there, oh my God, Marvin Harrison Jr. is a dropping machine. I mean, well, per that website, he's got 4 drops in the season. 4. Do you want to know how much catchable balls he has per that website? You want to know? You want me to shine the light on your precious? On your precious? You know what I'm trying to say? Per this, and I'm like I said, take it what you will. Fantasy Pros, look it up. I'm not making this up. 4 drops he's accounted for. He's got 86 targets. And it actually does show catchable balls on here as well. Okay, so we got 86 targets, catchable balls, 49 catchable balls thrown his way. Receptions, 45, 655 yards. It's Marvin's fault, Mike. It's him. It's so him. You are drunk. You're so drunk. Shame.
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 What are you expecting? What are you expecting? I mean, our offense is struggling. Can we not take that into account? No? No, we want to jump on Marvin. No? Okay. Well, I mean, per this tweet, right? Per PFF_Gordon that works for PFF. He's got 1. Oh, he hasn't dropped a ball since week 1. Now, I don't know if that's actually accurate, the week 1 thing. I got to go back and actually do my own homework, but it does bring the fact that per this website, he's got 4 drops. 4 drops on the season. He's a dropping machine, Mike. Come on. He's terrible. Oh, come on now. Come on. Who are you listening to? Who? He's very, very comparable to Larry Fitzgerald numbers. Very comparable to Larry Fitzgerald numbers right now. I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to be the next Larry Fitzgerald. I'm not going to sit here and say that. But he's got very comparable to Larry Fitzgerald numbers right now. Come on. Open your eyes. Don't be biased. Come on now. Don't be that guy. Hey, don't be that guy. Come on. Come on now. Come on. Claymore in the chat says you haven't been watching the games. I'm assuming he's probably I'm not sure if you're talking to me. Let me know here in the chat if you're talking to me specifically. Luck on the chat says Kyler just pulls his numbers in the last 4 minutes when the defense pulls back. I'm going to the game. I'll see for myself. Perfect. Appreciate you, Corey. Do me a huge favor if you see it. Let me know where it's at, and I would love to take a look at it as well on the film as well, and we can determination if he is the one truly that should have caught that ball or he shouldn't, right? No one is blaming Marvin. I don't know what you're seeing. Really? I will, ladies and gentlemen, I'm on X. I'm on Twitter. That's the same damn thing, isn't it? Sorry. I'm on X, Instagram, YouTube. The narrative's out. The narrative is, oh man, he's not what it's cracked up to be, bruh. Bruh. Claymore says not you, Corey. All right, I figure. Claymore, me and you are usually in the same boat, so I didn't think you were talking to me. I'm worried about Marvin Harrison Jr. There's room. Of course, yeah. That's not breaking news though, Eric. There's no breaking news. I'm not saying he's perfect. Did I? Did I ever say Marvin Harrison Jr. is perfect? No, I never said that. There's room to grow, absolutely. Do you remember when you were 22? Do you remember? Do you remember when you were 22? Are you still doing the same job when you were, now? Are you better now than you are? Especially if it's a physical job. Are you better now than you were when you were 22? I mean, he's 22. Is there still a little hesitancy in this game? Yeah, you could see it. You could see a little bit not as physical. I have all the confidence in the world that this guy is going to be good. Heck, maybe even great. Give him time. 1 year. 1 year. 1 year. It's done. He's cooked, but it's 1 year. Come on now. 7 touchdowns, 655 yards per the website, 4 drops. You can't say he's a dropping machine. You got to look at the throws, man. Just because it's in his vicinity, that doesn't mean it's a catchable ball. You know what I mean? It's just, come on. Richie, it's always a rebuilding year. It's always going to be. It's always going to be because the fans allow it to be a rebuilding. The fans, you. Not my subscribers. Okay. Well, I apologize. We do have some subscribers on this channel in respect to you guys, but we're part of the problem too, whether you want to believe it or not. We're part of the problem. We are. We allow this. We allow to get abused. We do. We allow ourselves to get abused because we say the same things over and over again. It could be 3 years from now. Oh, we're rebuilding. Stop that. We're all living in a world, ladies and gentlemen. We're all living in a world of emotional damage. Somewhere down the line, you guys haven't felt some sort of emotional damage, and this Arizona Cardinal organization has given you no hope. To always say to yourself, if it hasn't worked this year, next year, if it probably doesn't work again, guess what? We probably will maybe go a different direction, and then we're on another 2 or 3 year rebuild because we don't like to catch it in front of it. We like to worry about progress. We like to say things like, oh man, it's year 2. Chill. But other organizations bring in Mike McDonald and can have 8 wins like that. Philadelphia Eagles can bring a new head coach and have success like that. Now, are they going through some coaches that aren't good? Yeah, of course. It happens to everybody, right? But you got to acknowledge it. Is it going to work or is it not going to work? Progress. Year 2, ladies and gentlemen. Open your eyes. Michael Bidwell's got you blinded. Got some new jerseys. People ran, got the jerseys. Because you can't be a real Cardinal fan if you criticize this team, right? That's the narrative. You can't be a real You're a fake fan, right? That's what people are so scared of, to be called a fake fan. It's like you want to bring out your badge and be like, here you go, man. Since 1988. Well, guess what? I was born in 89, so I can't say that myself. But as long as I was actually into sports, into football, I've been a Cardinal fan, right? Don't be afraid of all those 4 or 5-year-olds, 11-year-olds that call you fake fans, ladies and gentlemen. Go and spread your opinion out and let it be known if you are actually feeling what's currently going on in the state of the 2024 Arizona Cardinals. Now, we're going to be closing up shop here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. But this is going to be as positive as a live stream as you potentially can actually want. I remember 2 or 3 days ago, somebody asked, can this please be a positive live stream? I got you. I got you. I got you. But of course, in the last 15 minutes,
You lose! Good day, sir!
nope. Here we go again with the Mike shenanigans. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be closing up shop. Absolute pleasure speaking to every single one of you guys. I want to give a huge shout out here to my guy Junior with the $5 donation. I absolutely do appreciate you and everybody in the chat here, always talking it up, chopping it up, and discoursing it up. Thank you, everybody. As always, you guys are an absolute pleasure to speak with. Regardless if we disagree or we agree, the number one solution is we want to win a Super Bowl, right? That's the number one thing that everybody wants. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. As always, we're going to go close up shop right here. Do me a huge favor, smack up the like button on your way out. But I want to give a huge shout out here to BetUS, which is going to be the sponsors of the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube. That's going to be BetUS. If you're looking for a brand new sports book, BetUS is the way to go. Currently, right now, if you use promo code YouTube150, they will provide you with a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit and a 125% sign-up bonus on the following two. That's going to be using promo code YouTube150 upon signing up. Of course, bet responsibly and bet within your means. Ladies and gentlemen, always be a pleasure speaking with you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day, and as always, go Cardinals.
You lose! Good day, sir!